So I recently asked you guys on Twitter what you would like to see more of on my channel, and aside of in-depth info which we just covered yesterday, a lot of you wanted to hear more personal opinion on stuff, and we're gonna do exactly that today. What we'll be talking about is the tier 5 skin for the Odyssey this year. Most of you who have looked into the SMITE launchers recently will know that there is currently a vote contest for the tier 5 skin that we will have this year. The first step was to choose which class will get the skin. Mage has won that one, so we are definitely gonna get a Mage skin. The question is which one? There are 3 options: an Anubis skin, a Salt skin, and a Kukulkan skin. All of them are more or less loosely based on ideas that the community had. There was a subreddit specifically for the skin proposals, and you can still check that out. I will drop the link down below. All the other art concepts that I will use in this video are from there as well. I will be taking a little bit of a lazy path here and not credit every single artist for all the work that I'm going to use, but instead show you the link down there. It's the top most upvoted ideas on that subreddit, and well, most of them didn't actually make it into the finals, which is kind of weird, and that's what we're going to talk about here. First, let's look at these skins that are in the finals. Bear in mind, this is my personal opinion. Yours can obviously differ. Please don't be offended. It's just how I feel about these skins. Number 1 is the Anubis skin. The Anubis skin, in my opinion, is not very exciting. It's nice, but it's nothing that we wouldn't have seen many times, simply because it's yet another demon concept. I also don't really feel that the skin specifically fits Anubis. It's simply some character you could put that on, but that would basically work for any other characters as well. Yes, he has got some nice development through the different stages, but realistically, that same skin could have been on a Puash and it would have had the same kind of relevance for that character. I think it's okay, it looks kind of nice in the last stage, but it's nothing I would even consider remotely close to a tier 5 skin. Might as well have taken the 4th stage as a tier 4 skin and be done with it. I'm talking about tier 4 skins. The next option would be the Salt skin. The first 2 stages of the Salt skin are significantly different from her default model, simply because it's a character with human or more or less human alien skin. After that, she just basically returns to being Sol with some extra added armor. I don't know what the deal with this skin concept is, why it's so favored by some. I feel like a lot of people are voting the skin simply because it's Sol. The final skin there is not much more than a glorified base model with some changed particle effects from what I can tell so far. All in all, this skin reminds me a lot of Infinity Wave Herbois, and that's definitely not a tier 5 worthy skin. Once again, the early stages, they have more transitioning than Anubis skins, and it makes more sense in the context, but they're not actually offering much. They're not very surprising or interesting. You just want to get to stage 3 and have your default Sol back, I feel, because she's gonna change into that default model eventually. So I really don't know how to feel about this one. I'm not very impressed with it, and I would rather not see it. So we got one concept left, and that is Kukulkan, who's got a dragon skin. Now, I'm not saying this concept is bad. In fact, this is the concept I personally voted for, because I think it's kind of cool to have a dragon. I just like dragons. But it's nothing that is in any way surprising, impressive, or anything like that. Yeah, we got an Ao Kuang dragon skin. We got a Fafnir who's got a dragon as a secondary form, and now we get another dragon, which was basically a dragon before, but more of a snake noodle thing. And now it's actually becoming a dragon. But is this really something exciting? Is this something very special? Is this something creative? Is this something nobody has thought of before? It's just, you know, making Kukulkan a proper dragon at some stage of the game. I am mildly disappointed with it, I gotta say. It's just not very impressive. And also, it's kind of weird because when you think about it, every character in the game has a hitbox, and this very, very small first stage will have to have the same hitbox as the last stage where he's that big dragon, meaning the dragon can't actually be too large or anything anyways, and well, that's basically it. I think there could have been much cooler characters for the dragon as well, and with that, we're jumping over to the skins concepts, and this is the first one I'll show you. Somebody made a dragon concept for Agni. Now, I'm not saying this is the best design ever, best skin ever, best drawing ever, whatnot, but I think this idea is at least creative. This is something cool. You take Agni, a character that's very closely related to fire, into a dragon, because dragons are related to fire as well, and you have a completely different character in terms of design, He looks completely different, but it still kind of matches, and the abilities make a lot of sense and are really cool. That's something I would have liked to see. Something that really, snaps and is like, look, this is cool. This is a good idea. We didn't have something like that before. Why not do it? Another skin like that I found extremely creative was the Aphrodite MMORPG Mage. So basically, Aphrodite getting more armor throughout the process of the game as if she was in an MMORPG, being like that, level 10 default character in the beginning, and then being that level 60, 80, whatever mage with that heavy equipment and all that shiny stuff around it. I think that's cool. It's not something that's out of bounds. It's not something that is way too far off when you look at Aphrodite as a character. It is something that works with the character model, and it is just a really cool concept overall. So I don't know why something like that wouldn't be taken into consideration, especially when one of the big issues with the skins was that apparently some skins that were selected were too hard to make, or they were too hard to distinguish between the different stages. So stage 1 and stage 4 were not different enough from each other when you look at them from the back. This skin actually offers all that and would definitely not be impossible to make. Another skin that I thought was great was this Poseidon model, which maybe isn't exactly tier 5 worthy because it's just one form, but could easily be turned into one by a developing mage. And even though it's kind of somewhat close to a demon concept, it still offers a lot more than most other demon concepts, I feel, simply because of the Kraken and all the details that can go into this design and how different it can be from the default Poseidon, while still setting itself apart from Hades in a way. Then there was this concept for Freya, which I think has a really cool concept in terms of how the change is made. So depending on which ability you maximize first, your character will change into a different style, and a completely different style at that. I think that is really cool, and even though we once again have the angelic demonic theme here, I'm kind of okay with that, especially because we don't really have too many angelic concepts, and because it's more than just that. There's so many options in that regard, because you can say, hey, today I don't want to play demonic, I'm going to max my one first, and end up being an angel kind of character. While I'm usually not the biggest fan of funny skins, I feel like at least one funny skin could have made it into the final selection as well. And this concept I thought was just hilarious. A soaring noodle beast for Kukulkan that gets covers in noodles the longer the game goes. I mean, not everyone would like this skin for sure, but it would just be hilarious, and I think some people would really love it. Another concept for one of the characters that actually made it into the final selection is this one, which I think is much better than the one we offered at the moment, because it's actually Sol with a human skin, where the rest of it around is kind of animated and not the skin itself. So it's much more of a challenge to make it, obviously, but it's also a lot more interesting because it really differs from the skins she already has. Another thing that's kind of disappointing to me, while being kind of obvious, is that all of the mages selected are popular characters. Yes, they're not necessarily high in the meta, but those characters get played a lot, especially on lower levels of play. You will get sales, and obviously Hi-Rez has to make sales, so they're gonna go for gods that are probably gonna get picked a lot and played a lot, so the skins will be bought a lot, or the whole Odyssey will be bought a lot, given that it's relatively expensive. But I feel like they could have at least thrown some, or one less popular concept of a less popular character in the mix. For example, Chang'e, for example, Shang-Kui. Any of the gods that are hardly ever picked in comparison to those, just to see what you could do with that character, and maybe try to make a character more popular by giving them an amazing skin. But instead, we're just stuck with the most played, I guess, to some extent. At least Kukulkan is one of the most played mages, and I would feel that Anubis and Sol are not too far behind, and definitely somewhere in the upper half. So yeah, I was hoping that we would have some more variety in the concepts, in the selection process, what we can get, maybe some more impact as well, because a lot of the top concepts were not even chosen and didn't even get the chance to shine in any way. And I want to close up with one last concept that is freaking amazing, and I think most of you who've checked this topic out have seen it, and I think it's just so cool. It is this Janus skin, and I, for the life of me, don't want any more Janus than we already have being played anywhere, but whatever. I know that this was not chosen for a reason. It's because from the back, all of these kind of look the same. But it would have been easy to kind of change that. Make the stage 1 a skeleton. Make the stage 2 the normal ghost. And make the stage 3 a ghoul with greenish colors and some more animations around him, some floating stuff, and they would be easy to differ from the front and from the back. But because the main standard concept here didn't offer that, the skin wasn't even chosen for selection, I guess, and that's really disappointing to me because I think this was such a cool concept, especially with all the stuff around the abilities and so on and so on. There was so much potential in this, and that's kind of sad to me, I gotta be honest. But anyways, aside of me not being all too happy with this, obviously you should definitely vote for the skin you want. I dropped the link down below as well, along with the link to the top skins in the Odyssey, so you can check those out as well. I thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you want to hear more of my opinion on certain topics. I make new videos daily. Hope you check them out. Thanks for watching. Duke out.